Hey gang, Stan with Intentional Farms again. It's not Sunday. This is not my normal video, but I'm floored by this, so I want to get it documented. It is Thursday evening, June 5th, 2025. We are in a pasture that is east of the creek. That's just how we identify it because it's pretty easy to tell what's east of the creek. So anyway, we like easy around here. But I just gave the steers their new paddock for the evening, and for tomorrow I've been moving them late in the day, just mainly because that's when schedules have been working out. But this pasture over here, when we bought this place 5 years ago, was basically one big blackberry briar. There was places out here that the first time I brush hogged it, I wasn't sure if I was going to run over a car or a pile of rocks. It was as big as a small house. It was just terrible. We did soil test the first year. We found out we had some pretty acidic soil, so we did put on 2,500 pounds of lime per acre that first year. We didn't start grazing it till we had been here a full year, so this is just the beginning of our 5th grazing season. We've completed April. We had completed 4 years of actual grazing on this place, and we're moving into the 5th year. So I'm going to pan down here a little bit and just show you a little bit of what is in this paddock right now. And this stuff is all waist high. There is a little bit of everything. There is clover, red clover, white clover, bluegrass, Kentucky 31. There's stuff in here that I don't even know what is. That right there is blackberry briars. They are seriously getting thinned out. I've probably brush hogged this whole pasture maybe 3 times. One of it in the entirety, and then spot brush hogging it going forward. But these blackberries are slowly dying back and they're giving up. And I don't really care because my sheep are fat as dog ticks off of those blackberry briars. They will eat nearly every leaf that they can reach. So I wanted to show this. This is the paddock that they have not been in yet. Again, it was hard to even leave any extra organic matter behind it. A lot of the grazing gurus will tell you to trample some and leave some and eat some, and everybody's got their magic formula. But this pasture over here was so sorry that we couldn't grow enough grass to really leave any. So I did roll out hay over here. I didn't feed any hay over here. I have very little hay this winter. Fed most of my hay on the other side of the creek, rolling it out. The first 2 years I rolled out quite a bit of hay over here. I actually bought extra hay and rolled it out just to get some organic matter going on. But you can see the clover. That steer is 14 months old, so you can see how it's halfway up on his chest. And they have been thriving in it. That steer's got all he wants to eat. Those two guys, they don't even have to work very hard. They don't even have to bend over but halfway, lower their head just a little bit to get a bite. So this pasture there's still some sorry grass in it. There's still some what I call cheat grass going on in there, but it is growing so much other stuff out here that it's amazing me. So I really wanted to get it documented, just to have an idea of how things are changing. I wish I would have done this before we even started with grazing animals, but I did not. So I'm doing my best to make up for lost time now. This line right here to the right where that steer is where the wire was at just 15 minutes ago. So I'm using the steers to go through. They're getting small paddocks, maybe a quarter of an acre per day. Narrow strips right now, and they're going through, they're knocking it down. You can see what kind of job they're doing trampling and kind of opening this up. The sheep, from what I've observed, they get a little bit hesitant if you put them in that real tall stuff. They don't like to eat necessarily anywhere that they can't see. So they kind of eat their way in, but it seems to take them a little while to get familiar with the paddock, and about that time it's time to move them. But you can see the cows have eaten a lot. They've left the blackberries, they've opened it up. There's a rosebud that has a rose bush. It has a short lifespan. The sheep will eat the leaves off that. I actually want to back up and mention this too. So we have spread C90 on this pasture 2 times, 100 pounds per acre in the last 2 years. And one of the things that some of the soil health gurus will tell you is as your soil begins to improve, your forage improves, and the insects will attack the weaker species. So the last 2 years we've had a lot of grasshoppers that the first time I noticed them, they were eating the grass. They were eating a lot of grass and really competing with the cows. The second year I noticed them, they started to do this. This is horse nettle or whatever kind of nettle you call it. But this is the only plant that none of my animals will eat that I'm seeing consistently, and the insects are attacking it. So those non-desirables for the animals, the insects are attacking. If you'll notice, that's a blackberry briar. I don't see any insect. Oh, there's a few right there in that leaf, just a few. But for the most part, that horse nettle, there's another plant that has holes in it that the insects are really attacking. So I find it interesting, and I'm really trying to pay attention to all of this to see how things are changing. Again, there's quite a few blackberries. This is the paddock that the sheep will come into tomorrow. They're staying about a day behind the cows, so I've got everybody, without running them together, I'm running them as close as I can to put all of my impact in a short time window and put a maximum impact on my pastures. I've been noticing recently, I'm finally getting the sheep numbers that it takes to actually get some good trample. The trample effect is pretty important when you're trying to knock that forage down, because it creates a layer of armor that helps shade the surface, traps moisture in between rain, but it also helps keep soil temperature down. Soil temperature is pretty critical to your microbiological activity. The hotter it gets, they either go inactive, they die, or they go deeper in the soil and they're not near as effective. So this paddock, today is Thursday, we put the sheep in there yesterday afternoon. So they've been in this little paddock for 24 hours. This paddock, we give the cows probably a 1/4 acre a day. We give the sheep about a 1/2 acre a day. Then we move them every other day. So it keeps them pretty close. But you can see the forage that's on this side where the cows have been. And you can see the forage on this side where the sheep have been. They are going through and eating almost all the seed heads. They're eating, I'm gonna find some blackberries. I just gotta show you that. I love it when a sheep eats a blackberry, because blackberries, even though they're, hi Waylon, checking in on things. Even though the blackberries, they don't get much of a chance, they don't live long enough out here to fruit. The sheep get the leaves first, so they don't ever have a chance to really put on any berries. But they're a mess to walk through. They snag on your pants, and they're pretty difficult. So here's a blackberry briar that the sheep have had 1 day on. Tomorrow, I doubt there's this many leaves left. She's camera shy, she ran off. There's a few leaves in there. We're getting ready to hop the fence and go back out into, some of them are just now finishing shedding off. For the most part, those lambs are 30 days old. They're fat and happy. It seemed to be working really well. They're sure getting enough groceries, that's for sure. That one, she had twins. She's just shedding, but you can see how wide she is still. She's nursing twins and she's in that kind of condition. So I'd say she's getting plenty of groceries. I really would. There's a ewe that's just about done shedding. Keep moving through here. This is another spot that had a bunch of blackberries in it. What's that little ram right there? He just goes down the stem and picks them off one at a time. Another one doing the same thing. Several more lambs, just learning to eat what mama shows them. So I'm headed over here. We're gonna jump the fence to the paddock that they were in for 2 days, 48 hours. Actually, it was just a little bit longer than that, probably 2.5 days. So this is the paddock that they were in just yesterday afternoon. We moved them out. So here's the line. Not a big noticeable difference, but you can still see quite a bit more standing right here versus right here. Now we're gonna jump over that fence. See if we can do it on camera without getting shocked and take a little better look. So there's a blackberry briar, a blackberry plant that they ate. They ate the leaves off that dude. Here is there's a greenbrier plant, kind of a cousin, same nasty family, but they go through and they'll eat the leaves off that stuff. They don't mess with the stems. As far as I'm concerned, if they're staying fat on the leaves, that's a bonus. There's a blackberry briar that they just cleaned off. I'll walk over here a little bit and show you a little bit of, I don't know how it's going to be the best way to do this, to show what's been trampled and left behind. But you can see there's quite a bit of trample. There's quite a bit of manure. There's a cow pat, 2 sheep pats, another cow pat. So I don't intend, another sheep pat. There is sheep manure everywhere in here. It is getting fertility. It is getting trampled. It is actually really starting to click. Last year I was expecting some things. People said, oh yeah, the 3rd or 4th year you'll really start to see it. Well, last year we've had a ton of rain this year, which helps. But I intend to continue to document this, and I really hope that leaving this trample behind and this mat of forage saves soil, preserves the temperature, and just allows things to flourish. I do have some thistles. I've addressed those in a separate video. I'm not running around spraying them. I've noticed that I see a lot of butterflies on the thistle head, the seed head. So I've actually been leaving them. If I get a chance to run over one, I'll run over it just because I think it's ugly. But I'm not putting out any more effort than that at this stage of the game. They're here. They were here before I was, so I'm not gonna bang my head on the wall. There's a sheep water. Nope, looks like they need some apple cider vinegar. We've been giving them plenty of vinegar. There's fresh water. We are blessed in the fact that we were able to install pressurized water in our paddocks. So we've got about 15 different hookups. The cows drink out of that. Job valves, quick connect down in the ground. When they're this close, I just run a hose with a T, 2 quick connects on it, and keep them connected, keep them drinking out of the same thing. So, I don't know what else there is to say necessarily, but the fact that this whole growing a little extra grass and leaving it sure does seem to be working. That area right there was it was just solid clover. And the cows have ate it or stomped it flat on the ground. They hit those stems, and the sheep will go through and actually clean up the leaves that are still on the ground. So these guys are working pretty good together. I'm tickled with it. Today is going to be the last day for our ram out there. There's a guy, we've sold him, a guy coming to get him tomorrow. I've liked that Grassmaster ram. So I think this next year I was anticipating holding back some of our own ram lambs and starting to line breed. But the more I think about it, the more that means I've got to run a separate flock. I'm going to spread my grazing activity back out instead of keeping it all consolidated. I don't have a second dog. And it's getting ready to be hot in July and August. So I think I'm going to limit my chores to one group of sheep and one group of steers. We are processing broiler chickens tomorrow. That'll be a separate video. Going to raise a few more batches, but we're not going to start again till late summer. I think maybe the last week in August or the middle of September sometime. But anyway, that is the current situation. Looks like it might be blowing up a little thunderstorm. Fine by me. It's already about 800% humidity, so it just as well rain. But anyway, thought this was interesting. Want to get it documented. And have a good evening.